Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to the CAD Dimensions rollout of what's new in SolidWorks 2022 and also what's exciting on the 3D Experience platform. I'm going to direct everyone to the chat though real quick. If somebody could give me a thumbs up or a hello to make sure you can see me okay and hear me. Excellent. Thank you so much. So my name is Sarah Reynolds, and I will be your host today. And we have a great lineup of presenters and presentations to be had today, which is, hope you guys are all excited for. We have Brian Danson, Steve Philbrick, Steven Zallis, and Ian Hargraves as our presenters. And also a special shout out to Ola Kaminska and Jim Holtz, who will be producing this presentation. So hope everybody sits back and relax and enjoy a great presentation and a great group of information. But before we get started, though, I just wanted to take a quick poll. So we'll do a couple of these throughout the day. And just wanted to see what you're most excited to learn about today. So if you could fill those out. I like it, routing. Oh, routing's losing. Oh, user experience, parts and assemblies, excellent. Looks like a little bit of everything, which is fantastic. It looks like user experience, parts and assemblies is kind of leading the way. We just have a few more seconds with the poll. All right, so it looks like the user experience, parts and assemblies is the clear winner here, so excellent. And that makes it even easier because that's our first presentation. So take it away, Brian and Steve.
Hey, Sarah. Thanks for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're all really excited to show you what's coming up in SolidWorks 2022. So we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to start with the user experience enhancements. These enhancements are going to highlight your everyday clicks inside the SolidWorks environment with the expectation that you always want to work faster and more efficiently, and this year's enhancements definitely help you do that. This year we're going to see upgrades to things like shortcut toolbars, reference geometry, system option settings, and a couple SolidWorks utilities like Pack and Go. Let's jump right into it. SolidWorks 2022 user experience enhancements focus on increasing productivity and usability. In this Nemo submersible model, only one thruster is in place, and we need to accurately place the other thrusters. The S-key keyboard shortcut toolbar now allows us to search for commands, and will even show the tool's location for future reference. We know the location of the thrusters, so a coordinate system would be a great way to mate the new thrusters in place. In SolidWorks 2022, we can now define coordinate systems by numeric input for precise location and orientation. We have our reference geometry set to hidden so that our workspace is clean. However, easy access to reference geometry is essential. In SolidWorks 2022, a new keyboard shortcut, Q, will toggle reference geometry on. This will quickly give access to assembly or component, planes, origins, or coordinate systems. Coordinate systems were also updated, visually and functionally. Their axes, planes, and origin points can now be used to create sketches, section views, and other features. Now we need to mirror the thrusters. We can use the S key search bar for the mirror tool, and then easily add it to the shortcut bar for future use. We can also use the Q key while creating this feature to select the mirroring plane. The system options have been upgraded with information bubbles that help identify and inform you of the settings function. Dismissed messages have also been upgraded so that you can read the full message pop-up, making it even easier to identify than in previous versions. Notification pop-ups have been overhauled in style and appearance, making them universal throughout the interface. When collecting your project, we always turn to Pack and Go. Now in 2022, there is a progress bar, so we can have a better idea of how long the process is going to take. All right, well, we're off to a good start here. I think a couple of those that we just saw are bound to be personal favorites for some, but we're still early, so let's let's keep going. We're going to move right along to our part enhancements. We get quite a few well-deserved part enhancements this year, and what we're going to see is new functionality for mesh bodies, hole wizard tool, and parting line draft. We'll also see that the Pack and Go gets yet another upgrade to build on the one we just saw about the progress bar, and then we get a brand new tool in the part environment called the Stud Wizard, which is pretty cool. And then we get some extra custom property enhancements as well. So let me go ahead and show you how they work. We're not always afforded the luxury of receiving native SolidWorks files when working with other companies. Sometimes all we have to work with are mesh BREP formats, and in the past this could be tricky at best. SolidWorks 2022 has enhanced the capabilities of working with mesh files, and it makes it easier than ever to edit the geometry. The ball valve on this current Nemo model needs to be edited. We wanted to make it a bit more fancy for such a luxury product design. You can see the imported bodies are a mesh BREP format, but we can make changes to it as if it was a typical solid model. Creating features like chamfers, extrudes, reference planes, and more no longer require Boolean operations. Let's add a slot for the lock. The hole wizard slot length can now be defined by arctangents or centers. Positioning the slot is as easy as using the tab key to change its orientation. This handle is to be injection molded, so it will require draft. To do this, we will have to create a parting line and add bidirectional draft at that line. In SolidWorks 2022, you can create the bidirectional draft in one feature rather than having to create two parting lines. Back to the mesh bodies. The manufacturer wants each body as a separate part file so they can access them individually. The Pack and Go function now recognizes the references created with the save bodies and split parts commands. Now you can choose which references you need rather than manually tracking them down in Windows Explorer. Section views have a variety of uses at each level of the design process. You can now specify a section view from any cylindrical face, conical face, or axis. These 22mm threads are useful for 3D printing, but are unnecessary for detailing the design for manufacturing. The new Stud Wizard is a great tool for this, as it uses the diameter of the boss and still provides a list of different thread sizes and pitches to use. It even allows you to create an undercut with full control over the dimensions. The Stud Wizard adds cosmetic threads, which look great in 2022, and these can be called out for 3D and 2D annotations. In SolidWorks 2022, configuration-specific properties have been separated into two tabs, Configuration Properties and Property Summaries. In the first tab, property information is added just like you would expect. Now you can choose which configuration they are applied to using the dropdown. The Property Summary tab provides a useful way to compare configurations based on a custom property. Alright, I'm officially impressed. I imagine at least one of those will appeal to every person in attendance today, and we're not even done with the part enhancements. I'm going to go ahead and take a break from speaking for a minute, and I'm going to let Steve cover the other half of the part modeling upgrades that we've got. So go ahead, take it away, Steve.
Thanks, Brian. Those really are impressive. So how many of you use SolidWorks to make welded structures? Do you use the traditional weldments module, or do you use the new structure systems? So introduced in 2019, structure systems is a faster way to make welded systems by combining different tools such as structural members, end caps, gussets, and trimming tools into a single easy-to-use interface. Here are some new features for 2022. SolidWorks makes it easy to create frames and structures with structure systems. 2022 is no exception, with enhancements to secondary members, the introduction of connection elements, and more. Secondary members are defined using existing structural bodies. This vertical post will be carrying a heavy compressive and bending load, so it will need extra support. Creating multiple secondary members is fast in SolidWorks 2022 now that you can select a point and multiple bodies. All corner treatments are just as intuitive to define as they have been in the past, giving you full control over your end result. Also new to SolidWorks this year is the ability to define or insert connection elements. These are great for members that are designed to be bolted rather than welded. These legs require a base plate, so the cradle can be attached to the floor. Just select the members and the plate is automatically centered at the end. If a connection element doesn't meet your design needs, it can be adjusted on the fly. These fork lifting channels may need to be replaced if damaged, so a connection element is perfect for this situation. Defining the position of the connection element is easy. Simply select the faces of the members, then use the convenient member planes, which reveal themselves automatically, to center the element. The connection element is smart and can cut predefined holes in the members you select. Gussets and end caps are also now supported for structural members in SolidWorks 2022 and are just as easy to define as before. Mirroring features and components is a very commonly used function. Now, in SolidWorks 2022, you can mirror across two planes or faces at once. No longer will operations like this require two separate mirror features. SolidWorks introduced the ability to create an edge flange on the circular edge of a non-planar base in 2021. This has been improved to allow you to edit the flange profile directly inside the property manager so that you can specify the exact flange length you want. Structure Systems is a powerful but flexible tool. With these new enhancements to secondary members, connection elements, mirroring, and sheet metal, creating frames and structures is easier than ever. Enhancements to Structure Systems allow you to generate weldments more rapidly. Hopefully these new features will have you beaming with envy. Now let's talk about some new features for assembly modeling. As assemblies get bigger and bigger, opening and navigating them becomes more of a challenge. Now let's take a look at some new enhancements for 2022. SolidWorks 2022 offers faster ways to access your designs from the start. Large Design Review mode, introduced in a previous release, provides a lightning-fast way to open your large assemblies with very few limitations. This large and complex assembly of the Nemo submersible from U-Boat Works with 6,031 components opens in merely 13 seconds, allowing you to get to work faster. New for 2022 is the ability to easily open drawings from a large design review assembly in detailing mode from the right mouse menu. Detailing mode is an extremely efficient way to both open and work on your existing drawing documents. Like opening the large assembly of the Nemo, the drawing is opened rather quickly as well in only 21 seconds. Detailing mode is a fully interactive way to work with large drawings that have already had their views created. In this environment, you can continue detailing your design, adding dimensions, notes, tables, and more. The ability to quickly access drawings from large design review mode in this way will streamline how you work with large complex designs. Additionally, in 2022, you can open sub-assemblies from large design review mode in this lightweight format as well. This ensures that you're not loading any unnecessary information that's not currently needed. Whenever you want to access the fully resolved models, you can choose to open them from the same right mouse menu. Likewise, you can always resolve an assembly that is already opened in large design review mode. This ability to access lightweight files and quickly switch between them will ensure that you can work in the most efficient way possible. Moving components is now easier in SolidWorks 2022. When selected from the Feature Manager tree, you're now presented with the triad that makes it extremely simple to get a component into just the correct spot with controls for X, Y, Z, and rotation all at your fingertips. The Quick Mates toolbar in 2022 also gives you more control by presenting you with the option to make adjustments before adding a mate such as the alignment. This is also true when adding circular type mates, where you'll be given the opportunity to lock the rotation of them before confirming. This is especially useful in the case of mates that allow both of these conditions. This new ability to add this extra control while mating with the Quick Mates toolbar makes it fast and simple to quickly build your assemblies. The intelligent pattern-driven component patterns get even smarter in SOLIDWORKS 2022. Now when you choose a component to pattern, SOLIDWORKS will always choose that component's location as the seed for determining how to create and position other instances. Even if you change the location of the component to a different location, the pattern still assumes that the component you are patterning is in the seed position. It means it's much easier to take advantage of existing patterns and hole wizard features to quickly position multiple instances of components, such as hardware, and rapidly populate your assemblies. Configurations are a powerful way to create alternate versions of parts and assemblies all within a single document. You can choose to have instances of components included or excluded from different versions of the design. You can also choose to use alternate configurations of other components in each configuration. The possibilities are endless, and as more variations are made, keeping track of this can get complicated. However, new for SOLIDWORKS 2022 is the new configuration table. This table makes it much easier to both create and manage configurations. From the table, you can add new versions to your design, and you can also choose to toggle the suppression state of different components on and off. Likewise, you can specify which versions of components to use in each configuration. The controls make it easy to see your changes as you're working as well. If you make changes to the configuration manually, such as suppressing components that weren't included before, they will be added to the table as well. The configuration table also has filters to make it easier to focus on what's important. For example, you may want to ensure that the custom properties for each configuration are unique to each new version of the assembly. Finally, when looking at a bill of materials, there will be cases when components in the design should not be included. This option can be controlled from the component properties in the assembly to specify this. However, this can become time-consuming for parts that regularly should not be included. New for SOLIDWORKS 2022 is a new configuration option at the component level where you can specify that a component should have this option enabled by default, saving you time from having to change this each time the component is used. SOLIDWORKS 2022 introduces a wide variety of performance and usability improvements to ensure that you can focus on the engineering of your designs and less time determining how to manipulate them. Assembly performance has never been better, and SOLIDWORKS 2022 introduces simplified approaches to working with lightweight modes. Pattern-driven patterns are enhanced to give you more flexibility, and new configuration table enables you to do more with your design without leaving SOLIDWORKS. Back to you, Sarah.
How about now? Good? Okay, sorry about that. Just had to click that back on and off again. So again, thank you, Steve, for a great presentation. And Brian, who started off the presentation, great job, guys. I was just talking about, if you couldn't read my lips, that the configuration changes were a big highlight for me, being an old design table person. Also the weldment side of things, I thought that was great. So a lot of good information going on in the chat. Somebody asked about getting more of this content. We will be recording this presentation, including the one where I was muted. Can't edit that out, we'll try. But that will be sent out to everybody at the end, as well as some other information, PDFs and things like that, so you can find out a little, or get a little more of this information a little quicker. So video, PDFs, all good stuff yet to come. So before we get on to our next presentation, it looks like my video, let me turn that off real quick and turn it back on. Okay, how about now? Is the video a little less blurry? Okay, well, hopefully that clears itself up. And before we move on to our next presentation, we do have a quick word from our sponsors, which is CAD Dimensions.
With today's changing business environment, it's important to stay flexible. Now, I'm not talking about your daily yoga ritual, I'm talking about the importance of keeping your software skills up to date and actively growing. We understand that it may be more important now than ever before, regardless of your location. At CAD Dimensions, we've always been here to help you do that, and this year we've expanded our training offerings to meet that need.
Our online classes reflect the in-person training that you've come to know and love. We use state-of-the-art technology to broadcast our instructors right to your computer. Exactly like our in-person classes, you'll watch our instructors demonstrate a lesson and then have the opportunity to practice on exercise files. This even comes with some advantages, as you can work from the comfort of your own home or office, and you can use your own CAD software if you wish. There's no need to go back and replicate any of the helpful settings or customizations that you may have learned in class. If that's not ideal for you, of course you can still remotely log into our training room and use our computers and CAD software, same as always.
Quite a bit has changed recently in the way that we live, work, and play. CAD Dimensions is always adapting to changes to continue to bring you the best in training, support, and services. Rest assured, CAD Dimensions is always looking for better ways to provide you with world-class services, whatever those may look like. We're always here as your partner in design solutions, helping you and your company achieve success.
So I'll ask for a thumbs up to make sure you can hear me and see me. Excellent. Thank you. And thank you, Jesse, for talking about the different training options that we offer here at CAD Dimensions. They include a lot of the what's new items as well. So keep that in mind if you want anything more, a little more in depth. All right, so let's get back to the presentation. Next up, we have, again, Steve Philbrick and Brian Danson. We'll be talking about everybody's favorite drawings, also importing geometry, and also graphics. So take it away, Steve.
Thanks, Sarah. Creating 2D documents is a critical part of our design documentation. Just like assemblies, drawings can take advantage of recent performance improvements to work faster. Let's take a look. Companies like U-Boat Works need to build it right the first time. That means clearly communicating through SolidWorks drawings, and sometimes these files get huge. For 3 years, detailing mode has been evolving. You can open even your largest prints in just seconds and work on them without the overhead of loading any parts or assemblies or even having them on your machine. Add and edit notes, reposition annotations, snap in a missing balloon, organize sheets, add dimensions, set tolerances. New in 2022, you can insert whole tables and standard views from the View palette, and when you're done, you can save, even print, a completely accurate PDF. What about older drawings that haven't been accessed in years? In 2022, SolidWorks has extended the ability to open any prior version drawing right into detailing mode. This is great because you'll always be able to open a drawing even if you don't have the reference models. So what else is new with drawings? How about a new in-context menu? This pop-up lets you toggle a circular dimension, diameter, radius, or linear. For turn parts, the new symmetric linear diameter dimension will come in handy. These are double dimensions, which I can apply in a single click to a silhouette edge, or in batch with multiple axis mode. This new annotation type allows for a clean section view by eliminating redundant leader lines. Geometric dimensioning and tolerancing allows functional definition of component features and allowances, so I can clearly illustrate manufacturing intent. SolidWorks 2022 introduces a brand new interface to define geometric dimensioning tolerancing indicators. The intuitive step-by-step input is easier than ever. Specification, zone, feature, filter, characteristic, modifier, and datum references. Add adjacent and auxiliary indicators, text, create stacked and composite indicators as well. Even erase your mistakes. In a design like this, I have many unique weldment parts, each with its own cut list. This is rich data, but how do I roll that up to one assembly level table? With SolidWorks 2022, the detailed cut list option is available for bill of materials of all types. This means you can aggregate multiple cut lists into an assembly bill of material, providing you with more flexibility and depth of control. Predefined views are useful to give new drawings a standardized layout. Now in 2022, the flat pattern view is available, and there's a new option to toggle bend lines visibility, increasing your ability to automate documentation of sheet metal parts. Proper documentation is a key component of bringing your designs to life. Add clarity to your drawings, share your intent, and finish these tasks faster with SolidWorks 2022. A redesigned geometric dimensioning and tolerancing interface lets you work faster and more intuitively. You can open any drawing in detailing mode directly from your large design review assembly. Weldment cut lists are now available directly in your bill of materials. Now let's take a look at some of the new features for importing in 2022. Exchanging data has always been key to working with customers and vendors, especially as our workload expands outside of traditional mechanical engineering, even into architectural projects. SolidWorks is already the Rosetta Stone of the CAD industry, able to import and export more formats than any other program. Let's take a look at some of the enhancements for import in 2022. When collaborating with others performing design work focused on architectural spaces, often you need to share your data using alternative file formats like IFC. SolidWorks 2022 has focused on improving both the efficiency and reliability of saving IFC file formats out for other design tools to use. Additionally, 2022 has improved its flexibility when reading IFC files as well. Now when you open an IFC file, you can choose to filter specific object types to import, avoiding the need to open unnecessary geometry and focus on just the information you need to work with. For example, your task may only require walls, floor, and furniture within the building. All of this means the imported files both open faster, but also do not contain overly complex geometry for specific design tasks that you need to perform when working with the IFC data. Also new for SolidWorks 2022 is the ability to better support the export of DXF and DWG file formats from part files. Components often contain color information that's important for manufacturing processes, such as the color of sketches, bend lines, and other information. Now when using the export to DXF DWG from a part file and enabling to include these objects, their colors will be honored in the output of the file. This is extremely valuable for downstream operations where colors can represent different manufacturing processes or parameters for NC tool equipment. SolidWorks 2022 has improved the way you can collaborate with others by improving the overall import and export experience to various file formats. Open DXF and DWG files into a part sketch and import even the largest step files more quickly. Enhanced filtering when importing IFC files allows you to bring in only what you need. Now Brian will show us some new graphics features for 2022. Take it away, Brian.
Thanks, Steve. Great presentations. I'm personally very excited about the performance increase to imports. I mean, it goes hand in hand with the mesh bodies conversation from before, when we don't usually get to choose what file types we're getting from other vendors. So it's exciting to see that performance on this topic took a front row seat in 2022. For our next topic, we're going to discuss graphics, and graphics are an integral part to SolidWorks and all CAD systems. It gives us the ability to virtualize our product on a computer screen, so it's quite important. Some of the improvements we're going to see for this year is how appearance data is handled with lightweight components, so we'll take a look at that. Texture-based cosmetic threads, which we sort of touched on before, but we'll actually look at that in this section as well. We have increased capabilities of 3D textures and an increase in graphics computing performance for silhouette edges, which will affect everything in SolidWorks, so that's good to see. So we'll go ahead and switch over to SolidWorks to take a detailed look. Cosmetic and appearance changes happen regularly throughout the design process. Understanding and updating these changes should happen regardless of when or how you open your files. SolidWorks 2022 now automatically resolves lightweight components that have had graphical or appearance changes regardless if any feature has been changed since the components were last saved. This ensures that your components will always appear correctly. SolidWorks introduced a unique and simplified way to incorporate complex textures within your designs in a previous release. By leveraging unique appearances on faces, bodies, or components, textures can be created on those surfaces to generate complex geometry quickly. SolidWorks 2022 delivers increased performance and responsiveness when creating these oftentimes complex and highly detailed textures, meaning you can use them in more places without sacrificing performance. Another graphical change in SolidWorks 2022 is the introduction of texture-based cosmetic threads. These new cosmetic threads, beyond looking great, make it much clearer to understand which components have threads on them. These threads will be used for any type of feature that includes cosmetic threads as well, from manually creating threads to the new stud feature and, of course, the hole wizard. Finally, performance is always critical to saving you time. SolidWorks 2022 has increased the frame rate when rotating parts and assemblies with silhouette edges by over 10%, saving you time with every single zoom, pan, and rotate. Again, another great set of enhancements. As a tech support engineer, the cosmetic thread enhancement is a massive upgrade. They look so good and have such low overhead on the model. It's really just awesome. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to our host for a bit, but I'll be back shortly to discuss administrative image enhancements. Back to you, Sarah.
What the heck? What? Thanks, Brian. Looks like you guys really knocked the socks off of everyone with that presentation. Come on, you knew you had to have some jokes in here. Come on. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like the graphics part of this, and think everybody did a great job with that. So hope you're enjoying so far. But before we get on to the next bit, let's take a 10-minute break, and this way you can go off and grab some coffee or whatever, and we'll see you back in 10 minutes, okay?
Today we're talking about one of the most unique FDM materials, TPU. TPU is a resilient thermoplastic polyurethane with excellent flexibility and stretch and resistance to abrasion and tearing. This FDM TPU 92A from Stratasys is compatible with the F370. It uses QSR soluble support, and like Duran, it's very moisture sensitive and should be stored in a dry box or sealed container. Let's talk about some mechanical properties. This TPU has a tensile strength of 16.8 megapascals, an elongation of break of 552%, a tear strength of 84.6 Newton per millimeters, and a hardness value of 92 Shore A. TPU is one of the most challenging FDM materials to print with. The TPU from Stratasys provides a superior alternative to less optimal TPU 3D printing technologies. It prints great, and with the large build volume of the F370 and QSR soluble support, it makes it great for a wide variety of prototyping applications. Applications include flexible hoses and tubes like you see here, air ducts, vibration dampeners, gaskets and seals, and other complex elastomer parts. Here at CAD Dimensions, we're big fans of golf, whether it's played with a disc or a ball. So, using TPU, I printed a disc and a grip for a golf club. I was very happy with how these prints came out, but since this TPU has a shore value of 92A, I think it makes a better disc than a grip. Nevertheless, they were fun parts to make. If you'd like to learn more about TPU, connect with us on our website at caddimensions.com. Hey, it's Matt with CAD Dimensions. Today we're talking about one of my favorite class of materials, carbon fiber. There's a few different machines under the Stratasys portfolio that offer carbon fiber materials. We have the F-Series, the Fortis 450, the F900, and the MakerBot method. Let's start with the MakerBot. The MakerBot method has two carbon fiber materials, nylon CF and nylon 12 CF. These are carbon reinforced nylons optimized for high strength to weight ratio, stiffness, and heat resistance, making it ideal for structural applications and metal replacements. They print using PVA support, a water-soluble support from MakerBot, and like all nylon-based materials, they are affected by moisture and should be stored in a dry location. Nylon CF has the highest peak performance in all categories and is significantly affected by moisture, while nylon 12 CF will retain its performance in the presence of moisture. The carbon fiber materials with the MakerBot method are great for small to medium-sized prototypes, jigs and fixtures, and end-use parts. The next machine from Stratasys that can print carbon fiber materials is the F123 series, and that material, one of the newest from Stratasys, is ABS CF10. ABS CF10 combines the benefits of carbon fiber filament with the desirable mechanical properties of ABS. The ABS is filled with chopped carbon fiber at 10% by weight, and it's great for applications such as jigs, fixtures, and other factory floor tooling. This material can replace metal for lighter, more ergonomic tooling. It prints using QSR soluble support, which means complex geometries that would normally be impossible to machine are easy. Since carbon fiber material is abrasive, it uses a dedicated CF head. Here are some parts printed in ABS CF10 on the F370. First, I have this alignment fixture for a metal rod, and I also printed this robotic leg. These parts are lightweight, very strong, and durable. The next two printers that have carbon fiber materials are the Fortis 450 and F900. And just like the MakerBot, that material is nylon 12 CF. This material can achieve the highest flexural strength and stiffness to weight ratio of any FDM material. It prints using SR110 soluble support, and just like the F-Series, it has a dedicated CF head. You can validate designs faster with functional carbon fiber prototypes instead of costly and time-consuming metal prototypes. Like the other CF materials, additional applications include jigs, fixtures, end-of-arm tools, low-volume production, and highly customized parts. Here I have some parts printed on the Fortis 450 and nylon 12 CF. If you'd like to learn more about carbon fiber materials, connect with us on our website at caddimensions.com. Thanks for watching. Today we're talking about two electrostatic dissipative materials, ABS ESD7 and Antero 840 CN03. ABS ESD7 is available on the Stratasys F370 and Fortis machines. It combines the strength and durability of ABS with carbon to provide electrostatic dissipative properties. It's great for prototypes, concept models, jigs and fixtures, and support tooling used in static-sensitive applications. ABS ESD7 has an ultimate tensile strength of 35 megapascals, an elongation at break of 2 to 3%, and a surface resistivity of 10 to the 4th to 10 to the 9th ohms. It's compatible with QSR soluble support. The other ESD-safe material available on the Stratasys FDM printers is Antero 840 CN03. Antero 840 CN03 is a high-performance PEC-based thermoplastic with ESD properties. It's available on the Stratasys Fortis 450 and F900. It uses a breakaway support system called SUP 8000B. It has an ultimate tensile strength of 95 megapascals, a volume resistivity of 10 to the 4th to 10 to the 9th ohm centimeters, and it's very resistant to both heat and chemicals. Applications for Antero include prototypes, ESD-safe jigs and fixtures for testing and assembly, and low-volume end-use parts with strict requirements. With Antero, you can produce highly customized, low-volume parts with consistent static dissipative properties, high chemical resistance, and ultra-low outgassing. This makes it great for industries such as aerospace and automotive. Electronics housings are a great example of parts you'd want to be ESD safe. So I printed this Raspberry Pi housing on the F370 using ABS ESD7. If you'd like to learn more about ESD safe materials, connect with us on our website at caddimensions.com. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Matt Corcoran, an application engineer with CAD Dimensions, and this is our FDM materials series. I'll be covering some of the most unique materials available on the Stratasys FDM printers. Today we're talking about Duran. Duran is a nylon-based thermoplastic used in 3D printing. It's very durable and tough and resistant to hydrocarbon-based chemicals. Duran also has a very smooth surface finish, which is perfect for non-marring factory floor tooling, such as this end-of-arm tool here used on the end of a robot to pick and place parts without damaging them. Other applications include jigs, fixtures, prototyping, and low-volume production of highly customized parts. This inspection fixture for an F-Series head is a great example of a part you'd want to replace with Duran. It's usually made out of aluminum, which is very heavy, expensive, has a long lead time, and can damage the part you're trying to inspect. Like most FDM materials, Duran can be painted, sanded, machined, and media blasted. Duran can be printed on the Stratasys F370, and it uses a breakaway support system called SUP 4000B. It also is printed on a high-temperature build tray. Due to its smooth surface finish, one of the fun things you can print with Duran are air hockey parts. I printed these 4 parts all in the same build tray, and it took about 20 hours to print. Overall, I was happy with how these printed. I printed them with a 10 thou layer height and a double dense infill. One thing to note about Duran is it is very moisture sensitive, so it's important to store it in a dry environment. However, the spool can be placed in the printer overnight to dry it out. The material used here had a bit of moisture in it, which caused some surface defects. Also, Duran prints very hot, so be sure to wear gloves when handling the parts in the tray right out of the printer. So here's some footage of us playing air hockey with these parts.
There you go, now we're getting it down.
If you'd like more information about Duran, connect with us on our website at caddimensions.com. Thanks for watching.
There we go. Let me know if you can see me or hear me. Thank you. Spectrum will not be one of our sponsors today. But anyhow, I want a special thanks to Matt Corcoran for making those videos. He's one of our newer members to our printing team, and he's done a fabulous job. And I can't wait to play some air hockey with him someday. Did not realize we had a table up there. Very excited. So before we move on, I just want to take another quick poll. And it's, what beverage did you get during our break? Nice. And if by none we mean adult beverages, that's fine too. But it looks like none took over coffee. All right. Well, that's a good thing. So also, before we get going, I also want to bring up that tomorrow at 11:30 a.m., we have our What's New in Data Management with Charity Buckby and Ian Hargraves. So hopefully you can register and attend that. And also next Thursday on 11 2, I believe, 11.4, pardon me, will be What's New with Simulation with Steven Zales. So if you haven't registered already, please do that. Ola's putting the links, I believe, in the chat. So hope to see you there. So tomorrow and next Thursday at 11:30 a.m., data management and simulation. So let's take it back to Brian and Steve. And again, we're going to learn some new things with some new stuff. So let's take it away, guys.
Thanks for the ad break, Sarah. This next topic goes out to all the CAD admins and IT gurus, or to anyone who's just responsible for multiple SolidWorks installations. Admin images have received a long-awaited upgrade. We now have 2 new image types, group hierarchy improvements, automated vault view setups, and some clerical upgrades to the electrical install options. Let me show you how they work. Administrative images create tailor-made installation packages from the source SolidWorks installation files. SolidWorks 2022 brings exciting new enhancements to this process and makes deployments more powerful, flexible, and organized. SolidWorks 2022 offers 2 new options for deploying administrative images: remote client and compressed. The remote client admin image type was created specifically for remote users. It automatically downloads the bulk of the installation files from SolidWorks servers instead of your company VPN. This allows the remote user to leverage the speed from their home internet connections rather than being throttled down. The compressed admin image contains all of the components of a standard image, but in a reduced size, which is easier for sharing. Staying organized is key to a successful deployment scheme. SolidWorks 2022 allows you to create multiple nested groups that reflect your company's preferred hierarchy. Drag and drop makes rearranging items easy and convenient. Each subgroup inherits the settings from the parent group. This makes editing the admin image simple and reduces the user's XML file size, making deployment even faster. In this example, most users won't need these packages to be installed, so we uncheck them in the global settings. However, our users will need access to the SolidWorks PDM server. And now in SolidWorks 2022, we can even create a local vault view after installation. No need to run any extra custom scripts. The electrical engineers will need the SolidWorks electrical client installed. Because of the nested structure of the options editor, this is done by checking a single box for the whole group. Now in SolidWorks 2022, the user interface gives clearer indication of what electrical products will be installed. You can still choose to deploy manually or automatically, and of course, these tabs reflect the nested structure of the Setup tab, making it convenient to deploy the correct users or groups. These are some nice upgrades for admin installations. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We're going to use this momentum to carry on to the next topic, SolidWorks Visualize. SolidWorks Visualize had multiple upgrades to its functionalities this year. It's already one of the best rendering softwares you can use for your native SolidWorks files, but this year it's next level. There's additional tools this year for perspective matching to a background image. We have more control over shadows, improved patterning, tools for organizing your animation timeline, and an overall improvement for your active rendering window. This one's going to be a bit long, but I assure you it's not boring, so let's check it out. Having the ability to conceptualize your product designs in early phases can be a huge boost to sales and marketing initiatives. Here I'll show you how SolidWorks Visualize 2022 can make professional level content easily. HDRI environments have long been supported in Visualize. These 3D assets not only apply a background image, but also include some scene lighting. This lakeside environment has the perfect sunlight source, but the background image will need to be replaced with something that's more targeted to a potential commercial audience. Since 2D stock images are easily accessible and come in all shapes and sizes, these can add the perfect touch to any rendering, but traditionally require a trial and error process to align the model's perspective to that of the background image itself. Visualize 2022 simplifies this process dramatically with the new match camera capabilities. Using the 2-point perspective of the horizon and the ship's structure, along with the ship's walkway, the camera's focal length is calculated and applied to the 3D geometry. This builds additional photorealism into the project by seamlessly integrating the 2D image and the 3D model. Now that the model is placed nicely, we want to make sure the environment's light sources interact correctly with the background image. We've always had the ability to rotate your environment to get the shadow's direction correct. But in situations like this, the shadow doesn't interact with the ship's wall. Details like this can make or break a rendering. This is no longer a problem in Visualize 2022. We can use the primitive geometry tool to insert a vertical plane to act as a wall. Now in 2022, we can convert this wall's geometry to a shadow catcher. This gives the geometry the ability to interact with the shadow, but it will be invisible to the rest of the environment. For the next image, we want to capture the Nemo in its natural habitat, which is underwater. Leveraging configurations and additional cameras in Visualize is an easy way to keep all your renderings in a single project. For an underwater shot, updating the HDR environment and the background image from the library assets is just a drag and drop. As we saw before, it's important to replicate the scene lighting as close as possible. This time, an additional area light is added by switching to the top view and using the Add to Match camera to create the light source. At any point, you can switch between live rendering or preview mode. This is an easy way to manage your system performance when setting up your project, such as adding and positioning additional 3D assets. For this image, including a blue line snapper adds a nice touch. But what about a school of fish? Previous versions of Visualize had the ability to create model formations, but required 2 or more instances. New in SolidWorks 2022, patterns can now be created from a single instance, and with the scatter feature, randomizing these fish by defining the number of instances, along with the bounding box parameters, makes this process a snap. For the final rendering, a third configuration is created to capture an exploded animation of the Nemo. With the timeline enabled, groups are selected and keyframed to define their start and end positions. Going through this process of keyframing multiple parts and groups can quickly clutter the timeline. Now in Visualize 2022, items added to the animation timeline can be nicely organized into folders using the group options. The animation ribbons can also be color-coded, making it easy to find and reposition these keyframes into the perfect place. The first camera is all set with a wide-angle perspective and is keyframed into the timeline. A single camera can capture the action, but multiple cameras really brings on a professional touch. You can easily repeat the process of introducing additional cameras and keyframes to your animation with just a few clicks. Moving ahead, we can see 3 cameras created. Visualize 2022 offers a much more direct approach to allow camera switching from one camera to the next. By creating a camera group in the timeline, you are able to keyframe in which camera you'd like to have active and when, skipping the need to create additional edits in third-party editing applications. Going back through each of these 3 configurations, everything looks good and the final render process can begin. As progress moves along and each rendering finishes up, Visualize 2022 offers a new, updated output viewer to keep your projects even more organized. Render settings can be reviewed, and the project can be canceled or re-rendered as needed. And best of all project outputs are referenced and the final deliverables can be opened. Year over year, SolidWorks Visualize takes advantage of the latest rendering technology and simplifies it for every user. Generating world-class sales and marketing collateral like we see with the Nemo has never been easier. As you can see, Visualize 2022 puts the ability to create professional level marketing content in the hands of everybody. If you're not using Visualize yet, I'd say 2022 is a great year to get started and take your product designs to the next level. Steve's going to follow up after me with an equally exciting product, SolidWorks Inspection. Mike's all yours, Steve.
Thanks for the great Visualize presentation, Brian. Those new features really are amazing. So how many of you need to perform first article inspection? And how many of you need to use SolidWorks Inspection for your inspection projects? There are some great new features for 2022, including the long-anticipated incorporation of native SolidWorks drawings. Let's take a look. Whether you're working with in-house or outsourced manufacturing, Monitoring and verifying critical geometry is key to ensuring consistency within your products. Let's see how SolidWorks Inspection 2022 continues to simplify and automate Q&A operations. The standalone version of SolidWorks Inspection has historically relied on 2D PDFs and image files to start the ballooning process. Now in 2022, support for additional file types has been introduced, including NX and the much anticipated native SolidWorks drawings. Here you can start the project off by importing a SolidWorks drawing directly into the standalone application, and then extracting relevant part information such as part description, part number, and current revision. The same smart extraction method is used to gather dimensional and tolerance characteristics needed for this report. From the title block, an additional surface profile tolerance note is additionally ballooned and extracted with just a simple click. You'll see SolidWorks Inspection identifies the GD&T symbol, precision, and geometric tolerance indicators, which will all be carried downstream into your first article or in-process reports. Continuing through the extraction process, hole callouts and geometric tolerances are ballooned and then remapped to the project's bill of characteristics. Investigating Balloon 5, which is home to multiple dimensional requirements, SolidWorks Inspection automatically identifies each and has broken them into sub-balloons as shown in the table. Repeating these simple steps for the required tolerances and dimensional callouts is a breeze. No manual data entry is required. But what if we wanted to better communicate this information from the 3D part itself? SolidWorks Inspection 2022 has dramatically improved the performance and the support for SolidWorks part files, which can be directly added into the inspection project alongside the current 2D sheet. The extraction process is the same as in the 2D drawing, pulling in and identifying the geometric tolerance and positional information, but now ballooned onto the 3D part. During the assembly of this bracket, a few critical welds along with some surface requirements are also required to be inspected. Inspection 2022 now fully supports importing SolidWorks assemblies to ensure proper fit, form, and function with all manufactured and assembled items. With a bill of characteristics created, this package can now be saved with all the associative 2D and 3D data without having to access any of the drawn parts or assemblies inside of SolidWorks CAD. The inspection reports can be generated and include both 2D and 3D PDFs, along with the necessary Excel documentation. SolidWorks Inspection is also available directly inside SolidWorks itself as an add-in, and new in Inspection 2022 is full support for API. This highly requested enhancements helps to automate the creation, ballooning, modification, extracting, and exporting of first article and in-process inspection reports. With all new file type support and increased automation in SolidWorks Inspection 2022, there's never been a better time to revisit your current quality assurance process. Inspection 2022 gives you native support for SolidWorks assemblies and drawings, which drastically improves your workflow. And now API support in the inspection add-in expands your ability to automate the documentation process. Back to you, Sarah.
I think I'm back. All right. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Brian. Some great information with Visualize and Inspection. Please, again, any questions, please jump into the chat. We actually have Jesse Sprague on, who is Mr. Visualize, as we like to call him. I'm probably the only one who calls him that. But he is there answering those questions on Visualize, so please keep them going. So, yeah, it's going to stick, Jesse, Mr. Visualize. So before we move on to our next presentation, we have one more last word from a sponsor.
CAD Dimensions offers a variety of supplemental services to our valued customers. Our services break down into two main options: help with the installation and implementation of your software, and design services. Our goal is to ensure you're fully utilizing the tools you've invested in, and we strive to be your trusted partner, no matter where in your process you might need help. Help with installing and integrating your SolidWorks tools is by far our most popular service. From single-seat SolidWorks updates to complex setups involving servers and multiple client updates, we're able to help every step of the way. Our data management team is exclusively dedicated to ensuring your data migration, system update, or implementation goes as planned and on schedule. Our team can be a great addition to your existing IT department, offering guidance and best practices and setup methodologies based on our years of experience. Design Services from CAD Dimensions focuses on helping you fill in the gaps or expedite your product development. Services can include creating CAD models, converting 2D drawings into 3D models, creating high-quality product renderings and product presentations, simulation studies, document designs, work instructions, and more. Contact CAD Dimensions Services today. We are your partner in design solutions.
There we go. All right. Some great information on our service offerings there. So thanks again for watching. So we have one last poll, and it is regarding SolidWorks Electrical. So in what year did SolidWorks Electrical get added to the catalog? 1999, great song. 2006, 2012, 2019, or 2022? All right, is my camera back on? I hope. And the answer is 2012. So great job with everybody getting that right. Keeps saying that I lost my camera. Is it back on? Nope, not yet. All right, I'm going to leave the stage real quick and jump back on, see if that helps. How about now? Yes, excellent. All right, live TV, you gotta love it. This is the best part. The blooper reel is always the best part. And I'll put in a request for a new camera. That's also the great thing. So Halloween is coming. It is on Sunday. Hopefully everybody's ready to go with that. So our next presentation, it was a little bit shocking, and wasn't sure if it would make the series or not. I was definitely a resistor to this, but it finally did make the circuit. Turning it on and off with routing and SolidWorks Electrical. Let's go to Steven Zales.
Thanks, Sarah. I really like all the enhancements we've seen so far. Let's take a look at what's new in SolidWorks Routing and SolidWorks Electrical. When you go deeper into the beautiful unknown of the underwater world and rely on your power, oxygen, and navigation, electrical design plays a big role. In SolidWorks, we bring multidiscipline engineering into one ecosystem. Creating electrical information for a SolidWorks part does not need to be a long, drawn-out process. Adding connection points inside SolidWorks became even easier because they can be done inside SolidWorks by going to Tools, SolidWorks Electrical, where you can select Create C-Point with Manufacturer Part. In this dialog, it remembers the last manufacturer part that was used, or you can browse and select a different part from an extensive library. The terminal list shows the list of connection points that need to be added. Selecting a point or an edge in SolidWorks updates the table, and selecting OK will add these terminals to your part. Going back to Tools, SolidWorks Electrical, Create C-Point with Manufacturer Part reveals what terminals are already been placed with the remaining list left to do. The ability to select the point or edge in SolidWorks to add the connection point allows you to quickly create electrical components right inside of SolidWorks. Less time creating parts and more time designing. How would you protect the junction between contacts and wires to eliminate electrical failures? Back shells are used in this application, and SolidWorks now supports them. 2 harnesses from the battery to the control panel and external plug are created in SolidWorks Electrical Schematic. In SolidWorks Mechanical Design, these 2 harnesses are routed. Now that the routes are in place, you can address the wires and contact protection. Adding back shells to the connectors removes the stress between the contacts and the wires. Back shells are available in the design library under the Routing Electrical Inline Components folder. A 45-degree spin coupling was used and mated to the connectors. One more connector with a back shell will need adjustment of the harness to go through the back shell. Edit the harness that is in red and select the body of the back shell. From the right mouse button, choose Edit Route Alignment and select the spline of the harness and the axis of the back shell. The harness adjusts and routes right through the back shell. Efficient use of these components during design will protect the junction between contacts and wires, eliminating downstream manufacturing delays and costly redesigns. Creating harness drawings and tables manually takes time and can be error-prone. Flatten Route in SolidWorks automates this process and now supports backshell components. Flattening this red harness will include backshells along with the harness and connectors in its 3D position and will show them in appropriate locations. In the Flatten Route dialog, choose what detail of documentation you will need to include, like manufacturer, display 3D connectors, and a checkmark for drawing options. Choosing OK produces the harness drawing with connectors, backshells, tables, and callouts automatically and saves time for engineers to tackle other technical challenges. The SolidWorks ecosystem lets you quickly create electrical information for components, add and manipulate backshells for contact and wire protection, and create flattened harness drawings that include backshells. New electrical components come online and engineers need to use them. Instead of creating them, you can search and download them using the new Electrical Content Portal, or ECP, for SolidWorks Electrical Schematic. You can still use a web browser, but new is the ability to run ECP directly in the task pane of SolidWorks Electrical. In the View tab, select the ECP icon. In the ECP, you can see what the newly added items are and what sections are updated. Let's search for WAGO libraries and you will get the list of libraries available for download. PLCs have different libraries and one that you may need has different sections, like 2D footprints, symbols, and manufacturer parts. Productivity enhancements like running the ECP inside of SolidWorks Electrical give you the flexibility to choose the most effective way you want to work. Alright guys, we got a lot of really cool stuff coming this year from routing and electrical, so let's kick it back to Sarah to talk about the new 3D Experience platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. I'm really glad those two topics were able to run in parallel. Come on. Those are good. Another electrifying presentation. All right. Jimmy's ready to pull me off the stage with a cane. So the next thing we have, I know they are terrible, Jesse, I agree. Pull the plug, yes. Keep them coming. I love them. Electrical puns are the best. So probably you've heard a lot about the 3D experience and the platform and what that is. So our next presenter is Ian Hargraves, and he's going to demystify some of that with what he has with the data management portion of the 3D experience. Take it away, Ian.
Thanks, Sarah. By now, you've seen a lot of great improvements coming to SolidWorks 2022. My personal favorite is the addition of the command bar to the S key. I know that'll make searching in SolidWorks a lot easier for most users. What I'd like to show you now is how you can easily connect SolidWorks to the 3D Experience platform to manage your data on the cloud. Let's get started. Whether you work in a large organization or just a small team, no doubt you're concerned with storing, managing, and collaborating on your design data. And it's tricky because SolidWorks parts, assemblies, drawings, and other supporting documents, they're all linked. Consumer cloud storage apps don't know how to handle that. Maybe the investment in SolidWorks PDM and Manage isn't right for you. There is another way. When you connect your SolidWorks to the 3D Experience platform, cloud data management is just a few clicks away. Eric Engineer and Debbie Designer are part of the team working on the Nemo submersible. They are on a tight deadline to finish up the hatch design. Eric puts the finishing touches on the latch mount by inserting fasteners from SolidWorks Toolbox. A quick check on the assembly drawing, and everything is up to date and ready to save to the cloud. First, he logs into the 3D Experience platform. It's his team's secure connection to the cloud. Right from the task pane, he sees the status of his work. These indicators show which components need to be saved. As for the hardware and other standard parts, SolidWorks is configured to automatically catalog and release these items, so all users can access their shared libraries online. The Save dialog shows exactly which items require an update. You can also assign any item to a bookmark, such as related drawing files. Out of a long list of components like this, bookmarks are a convenient way to flag them for easy access. Only the new or changed items need to be uploaded to the cloud. This makes efficient use of network bandwidth, but still ensures everything is up to date. As a leader of his team, Eric is able to release his own designs. Easy-to-use life cycle operations like this help the team avoid accidental overwrites. Switching over to his bookmark tab, he sets the related parts and assembly drawings to released. It's just 2 drawings for now, but as the detailing work continues, the bookmark will keep everything organized for quick access. That includes any other supporting documents like this PDF instruction sheet and the related SolidWorks Composer file. Most document types can be previewed interactively with the SolidWorks task pane. No need to launch external viewing apps. Eric also has a backlog of finished designs that also need to be uploaded to the cloud. He can automate this with batch save. He just selects his local design folder and assigns them to the appropriate cloud space. SolidWorks takes care of the rest. As the Nemo sub design evolves, the team must respond quickly to change orders quickly. Debbie logs into her session and sees a message from Eric requesting a change. A quick keyword search shows several results. This one looks right. Debbie uses the 3D annotation tools to quickly sketch out a couple ideas. From here, she opens the part in SolidWorks. The latest version is automatically retrieved from the cloud. Before she makes any changes, it's best to do a where used search. The hand weld is used in one assembly below the master hatch assembly. She can open that right in her modeling session and get to work. This version of the subassembly is released. In order to make changes, Debbie needs to create a revision of the assembly and the hand wheel. The status indicates automatically show the current assembly structure is out of date, so she replaces it with their new revisions and sets them to reserved. This gives her right access to the items she needs to modify without locking other users out of the rest of the assembly. The redesigned hand wheel looks great, but she needs to update the drawing. The shared bookmark gives Debbie quick access to the related drawing files. The drawing is now synced with the part file, so she saved it to revision B. Then sets the part and drawing to a frozen state so they can be reviewed. Returning to the assembly, she finishes out the design by adding the latch mechanisms and saves the new revision back to the cloud. In order to meet their tight deadline, the Nemo team often needs to work on the same design files at the same time. Eric is working on a newest revision of the master hatch assembly. These icons let him know Debbie has the hand wheel assembly reserved and is currently making changes. He can reserve the top level assembly without affecting Debbie's work on the subassembly. This modular approach to access control allows users to design concurrently without accidentally saving over each other's progress. A short time later, Eric sees that Debbie has finished up. He just needs to reload the latest version of the subassembly from the server. Taking a look at the handwheel drawing, he likes her redesign and moves it to released. Back in the assembly, Eric detaches the connecting rod mechanics, then returns to his bookmarks to update the drawing. Bumping the assembly and drawing to revision B, he's ready to save. The revised hatch assembly requires new versions of the supporting documents. From the convenience of the bookmark tab, Eric uploads the latest version of the composure file and uses the interactive preview to inspect the latest revision. Out-of-the-box cloud data management enabled the Nemo team to be productive right away. They were able to safely store their data, manage changes, and design concurrently without ever having to leave their familiar SolidWorks design environment. Everyone in the organization benefits when you connect SolidWorks to the 3D Experience platform.
Thumbs up if I'm on. Good. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks, Ian. Some great information there and kind of demystifying some of that cloud-based data management that we've been hearing so much about. But if there are still any questions regarding the 3D Experience platform, I'm going to take you to our next presenters of Jesse Sprague and Ian Hargraves again to show you some modeling in the cloud, if you will. So take it away, Jesse and Ian.
By now you've undoubtedly heard about the 3D Experience platform. But what is it? Is it just SolidWorks on the cloud or some new product altogether from Dassault Systems? In this video, we'll explain what it is, why it exists, and give an overview of how the system works. My favorite explanation of the platform is a single source of truth for your organization. I think that phrase really encompasses the benefits that the system provides. The platform simply provides you with your own private and secure section of the cloud. It's a space where you can store your files in an accessible area and communicate design information and work directly within your web browser. Think about your organization for a moment. Whether your organization is large or small, chances are this will apply. Does everyone in the organization have access to the information that they need and only the information that they need at all times? I'm going to wager a guess and say no. In fact, that's less of a guess and more of an observation from what we've seen in the past 3 decades of being in business. It's very difficult to get every member of your team access to the information that they need when they need it. And that's where the platform really shines. All of your information is in one place, that single source of truth, and in your control as to who has access and what information and which tools they need to make use of it. The platform itself is simply a backbone for tools to build upon. It provides an environment in which your tools can operate. The platform can be customized with tools that are specific to your needs rather than delivered as a complete system. Here's how it works. When you purchase licenses, you're granted access to what's called a tenant. This is your private space on the cloud. You can choose who has access to the information available on your tenant. Access is provided by obtaining licenses that are called roles. A role is just a preset package of applications that's designed to meet a specific purpose. Roles are analogous to the way that software is currently delivered today. For example, you might get a seat of SolidWorks and Simulation for an engineer and Composer and Visualize for a member of the marketing team. In the same way, you would obtain the applicable roles for each member of your team. This provides them with the access to the information that they need, as well as the necessary tools to interact with it based upon their daily tasks. You'll find that this site is organized based on these levels. The number of roles available is extensive and ever growing, so to help you navigate these tools, we've broken them down into categories. Simply browse each category for the related roles. Each role will provide you with the information and the key applications that come along with the role and the benefits that it provides.
Now that you've seen how easy it is to connect your desktop version of SolidWorks to the cloud using the SolidWorks connector, I'd like to show you a new way to create organic shapes using the 3D Experience exclusive application called XShape. Let's get started. Every concept design has a unique starting point. In this case, progress has already been made on the underlying frame assembly. These files were designed in SolidWorks and they were readily available for reference right in the browser. For this concept, we will turn on the hand sketches to make it easier to model. We begin modeling the Nemo body design by dragging in a primitive cube to start sculpting. Subdivisional modeling gets its name from the loops of edges and vertices that surround the shape. The more there are, the more control. But like a spline in SolidWorks, it's better to start with less than more. The main user input is the on-screen manipulator called the robot. The shape is always edited with respect to its position, so we can move it to the left edge to keep that side stationary. Pushing and pulling the geometry is the main interaction in sub-D modeling. The robot can be used to translate, rotate, and scale the shape. The other half of the battle is selecting the geometry. Fortunately, in XShape there is plenty of shortcuts. For example, we can shift select two faces to select those and the entire loop of faces in between. By default, all faces have a C2 level of curvature continuity, ideal for any industry of product design. However, select edges can be creased at any time to enhance the style. In this case, by dragging the slider, we can adjust the smoothness factor applied to this crease. We can use the touchscreen to draw a curve across the screen to influence the top row of vertices. Switching to the other orthogonal view makes it easy to size, shape, and position the first sub-D body right where it needs to be. The robot can also be repositioned onto an edge. This way we can precisely control the direction of this translation. Precision can also be applied to the length of this translation. An on-screen ruler appears to snap to an exact dimension. We'll make a few adjustments by pushing and pulling at the two ends. Now that one side is done, we're ready to move on to the hood. To add more material, we can slap on a virtual chunk of clay using the extrude command. After pulling some faces over the center plane, the plane can be used to apply symmetry. As long as the symmetry option is active, all modifications will be replicated from side to side. To ensure the hood of the Nemo is perfectly flat, we can align the entities to a line. Moving its endpoints will translate and scale the entities while snapping them perfectly to a horizontal orientation. Now that the general shape has been roughed out, we can focus on adding a few finishing touches before sending this out for SolidWorks. Here we'll add two horizontal loops to the midsection to make way for the hole that will travel through it. Because loops are such a common command, they're easily accessible from the context toolbar, a user interface feature every SolidWorks user can appreciate. This vertical loop will provide a boundary for the hole in the back as well as a scoop on the bottom. To create the hole, the extrude tool can be accessed from the context toolbar while two opposing faces are selected.
All right. Well, thank you, Ian. And that concludes our presentation today. I hope everyone enjoyed the presenters and what they had to offer and what's new in SolidWorks. And also, again, kind of taking some of the questions of what is 3D Experience and what is the platform. I want to give a special thanks to those presenters today. So Brian Danson, Stephen Philbrick, Stephen Zallis, Ian Hargraves, and Jesse Sprague. Also a special thanks to the producers in the background, Ola Kaminska and Jim Holtz, helping me get my camera and mic going when I can. And thank you all for joining us. We really miss seeing you all in person, but this way we ensure everybody stays safe and sound, and hopefully we see you next time. Don't forget, tomorrow, PDM, what's new, data management, 11:30. So please register. Also next Thursday, simulation, what's new, 11:30 a.m. So please register. Great presentations to come. And thank you all again for joining us. Any questions, please keep them going in the chat. If not, contact our tech support. And again, take care. Hope to see you soon.